Adding and subtracting polynomials is pretty straightforward concept. You have to make sure that you really pay attention to signs. So remember polynomials, and we are using parentheses here to help us decipher the two different polynomials. Polynomials made up of multiple terms of monomials being combined together. So I am adding this first polynomial here in parentheses with the second polynomial. So just like when we add, normally we stack on top, like 5 plus 2 or whatever it may be. We're going to do the same thing here. So we're going to rewrite our first one, 4a squared plus 7a minus 12, and we are going to add this whole thing here. Now the best thing to do is to put like terms under each other. So this negative 9a squared is going to go right under the 4a squared. So negative 9a squared. The negative 6 is going to go under the other constant, the negative 6. And then the positive 2a is going to go under the 7a. Make sure you combine and bring their signs with them. And then you're going to just add, just like normal. So we're adding together a negative 12 and a negative 6, we get a negative 18. A 7 and a 2, so we get a 9a. And then a 4 and a negative 9 gives us a negative 5a squared. Because these are like terms with the like bases and the same exponent, we don't have to worry about doing any kind of exponent rules. This is our final answer. All right, so let's try this one. So we have 9y, and this is a star. We skip to a star. 9y minus 7x plus 5. And then we're going to add that to these here. So we're going to go ahead and rewrite our first one. 9y minus 7x plus 5. And we're adding it to all of this. So we're going to put our negative 3y under our 9y. Our 8x under our 7x. I'm going to take our sign with it. And then notice we have a negative 8a and there's no other a here. That's okay. We're just going to put it kind of out underneath nothing. So it's still going to be added to the polynomial. We just don't have any like terms added to. And then we just add as normal. So negative 8a, there's nothing here. So we just bring this straight down. We have a negative 7x and a positive 8x. So we have a 1x. We could just write it as an x. And then we have 6y. So our final answer is 6y plus x plus 5 minus 8a. Now if it asks you to write it in a certain form, you may have to rewrite in standard form or ascending or descending or in terms of a variable and so forth if asked. All right, so now let's get into subtracting. So with subtracting, one of the good clues that I like to tell people to use is to use a highlighter, something to really make sure your mind sticks out that this is subtracting. So when we're subtracting something outside of a parentheses, what we're really doing is there's a coefficient or a number of 1 there. We're actually distributing that negative to all pieces. So I like to do that first before I even get started. And then I just treat it like addition. So I'm going to rewrite the first one, 6a squared minus 8a plus 12b to the third. And then I'm going to go ahead and as I rewrite it, I'm going to be turning this to adding. So a negative and negative gives me a positive 11a squared. And a negative and a positive give me a negative 6b cubed. And then I treat it just like I did previously with adding. So I have 6b cubed. And that's positive. And then I bring this negative 8a down. And then 11 and 6 give me 17a squared. And that's my final answer. All right. At any time you can pause and check and see if you can do it on your own. So here's our negative. So we're going to be affecting each piece of the polynomial that we're working with. All right, so we'll rewrite 3y squared plus 7y plus 8. And as I do it, I'm going to go ahead and change the numbers. So I'm doing plus. So this will be a negative 4y cubed, and I don't have any other 4y cubes, so I'll just rewrite it right here, negative 4y cubed. So taking care of him, and then a negative 2y squared, and then a negative gives me a positive 5y, and a negative gives me a positive 3. So line them up under their like terms together. It makes it much easier. 8 and 3 give me 11. 7 and 5 give me 12 y's. A 3y squared and minus 2y just give me a y squared. And then I have nothing to combine that negative 4y cubed with, so it stays. And then I'll check to see, is it written in standard form? That should always be my last thing. All of these have been so far, or most have been so far that we needed to. But if we wanted to do a standard form, we were going to look for our degrees. So this is a 3 degree, a 2 degree, a 1 degree, and a 0 degree. So it's already in standard form. So let's talk about a procedure wall here before we get into some more problems. So first thing we do is we put the first polynomial on top, and then we find out, are we adding or subtracting? And you know, we want to go to where we're treating everything as adding. It's so much easier. With subtracting, you want to highlight to remind yourself not to forget. That's the most common thing. And that changes every sign after the highlight. Always make sure you're combining like terms, so set those up as combining underneath. Combine like terms, makes it so much easier, you don't miss anything. You're going to add them, and then write in standard form. Okay. All right, so we're going to get into some application a little bit with these. So here's a pretty complex problem. This is a 5-star here. So we have lots of little pieces and parts, but we're going to treat this the same exact way. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to highlight all of my negatives first that I have. So I have a negative here and I have a negative here. So now I'm going to start my process and I'm going to rewrite the first term. Make my pencil a little smaller there. 3x squared minus 5xy plus 8y squared. And then this affects every piece. Now, if you want to go ahead and turn them first, you can. Know that this is going to be a negative, this is going to be a negative, and this is going to be a positive when I apply that negative. So 2x squared, I'm going to have a negative 2x squared, a negative xy, and a positive 6y squared. I'll go to the next one. So I have a 9xy and a negative 10y squared. And then the next one has that negative again, so I have a negative 7x squared and then a negative 12y squared. And I'm adding them all together. So when I add them together, 8, 6, negative 10, negative 2, or negative 12, I'm going to get a negative 8y squared. Negative 5, a negative 1 gives me a negative 6, and then a positive 9 gives me a 3xy. And then a 3x squared, a negative 2, and a 7, negative 7, give me a negative 6x squared. So all of those added together simplify down to this trinomial of negative 6x squared plus 3xy minus 8y squared. Now, we can look at our degrees and see is it in standard. Well, we have this is a 2 degree, 2 degree, 2 degree. So we can leave it like that if we like. Some people might do x, y, and write it negative 6x squared. minus 8y squared plus 3xy to have it kind of in ABC order, x, y, and the double variables, but it's okay. Either way would be fine. All right, let's go into an application situation here. So we have a triangle, and I do not know one side of it, and I know that the other sides are these polynomials. So 5x squared minus 13x plus 24, and then my base is x squared plus 7x plus 9. But I do know that my perimeter is 11x squared minus 29x plus 10. So we want to find, using a knowledge of perimeter and these polynomials, to find our question mark. So this is a big daddy, a Mac Daddy star. So think about how you find perimeter. So to find perimeter, we add all the pieces together. Well, if we add 5x squared minus 13x plus 24 and x squared plus 7x plus 9, we don't know this question mark to add, but we know that it's going to equal, whatever it is, it's going to equal this perimeter. So let's start the other direction. Let's know if we know our perimeter, 11x squared minus 29x plus 10. If that's our answer, we know if we take away 5x squared minus 13x plus 24, and we take away x squared plus 7x plus 9, the answer that we will get will give us the question mark, what's missing. So you could combine these first, and then, meaning you can combine this, and then subtract it. So you could add those first, add them together, and then subtract it away, or you could do it as 3 pieces. So I'm going to do it as 3 pieces. So 11x squared minus 29x plus 10, and then minus gets applied, so negative 5x squared and a positive 13x and a negative 24. So I've taken care of the negative there. Now I'm going to do the next one, so it's going to be applied to every piece. So a negative x squared, a negative 7x, and a negative 9. Now I'm adding them all together. So you can use your calculator for this if you need to. So I have 10 minus 24 and a negative 9, so I get a negative 23. Then I have a negative 29x and positive 13 and a negative 7. So I get a negative 23x, and then the 11 and a negative 5 and a 6, negative 1 with negative 6, I would get a 5x squared. So the part that is missing is this. This is the polynomial for that missing side. So you could have added these two together first, the 5x squared minus 13x plus 24, and the x squared plus 7x and plus 9, and got that answer, and then subtracted it. You still would have gotten the same answer.